Facebook and we're live on TikTok. So share the link. We're live everywhere right now on YouTube, on Facebook, on TikTok. We're live visually. If you join, you'll see me live right now on all of the spaces. And we're live for audio. For those that want audio, we're live on MixLR, on Clubhouse, and also on Twitter Space. Today's going to be very, very interesting teaching. I'm going to be teaching on the challenges of marriage. This is something we started. This is a teaching we started. Please confirm if you can hear me. Can you confirm if I can be heard? Confirm if you can hear me clearly. Loud and clear. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. If you can come to Facebook, pick up my link on Facebook so that we can share the link on Facebook and also on TikTok as well. For young people, lots of young people like TikTok. So let's get young people, all our young friends to come in on TikTok. So get your friends on TikTok as well. Pick it up on TikTok, pick it up on Facebook, pick it up on YouTube as well. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. The Lord bless you as you do so. We're really going to be teaching today on marriage challenges, the challenges of marriage, challenges of marriage. And last week, I touched on 4 challenges of marriage. Last week, 4 challenges of marriage. I'm going to continue this week, but I'll give a quick summary of the 4 challenges of marriage that we touched on last week. We started with extended family dynamics. Number 1, extended family dynamics. Extended family dynamics can be a source of challenge in marriage. How you deal with your in-laws, how you deal with family members, how you deal with people connected to the family who are not a part of a nuclear family is important. And this can become a source of challenge for a couple. And so the wisdom, the intelligence to deal with extended family dynamics becomes critical for a couple. And so I exploded on how to manage your in-laws, how to manage extended family members, and how to walk away around it in dealing with extended family dynamics. Number 2, I spoke to external influences and stressors. As we go through life, when you're married, you will go through life. Different phases of your life will come with different changes. How you deal with those changes, those stressors, those influences will determine how sustainable your marriage will be. And so, capacity to manage transitions, capacity to manage transitions in your life. You're married, but you're living your life. And so capacity to manage transitions, career transitions, moving from one phase of your life to another can be dramatic, can be stressful. And your capacity to manage these challenges is a key indicator of the success of your marriage. Number 3, I spoke to financial challenges. One of the main causes of divorce in marriage, number 3, is finances. And so people are leaving their marriages because of financial issues. And so couples must devise a way to deal with financial stressors in their marriage. Couples must devise a way to manage their finances. And so financial nakedness is important, but it's not enough to be financially naked. You have to be financially educated. And so this becomes critical and important for the success of your marriage. You don't want to be in a marriage where you're struggling. You want to be able to, manage your finances. And so dealing with financial challenge becomes critical to success or to the success of a marriage. And number 4, I spoke to balancing responsibilities. You see, this is very critical. Whether we like it or not, we must begin to give attention to what we call unpaid labor. Unpaid labor is real in marriage. Unpaid labor is real in marriage. How we balance this unpaid labor becomes critical to the success of the marriage. Because who does the chores? Who does the cleaning? Who does the childcare? Who does all of these things? These are all unpaid labor in marriage. Somebody has to do it. And so husband and wife must decide how they manage this unpaid labor. Balancing this responsibility is key. It will be important that one person is not carrying the entire burden of this unpaid labor. And so the both of you must agree, because if you're not careful, unpaid labor can become the source of resentment, anger, and so much bitterness in the marriage. So these are the four critical challenges that I attacked and dealt with last week. So this week I'm going to be going further to deal with more challenges in marriage. Marriage is beautiful. I want to start with saying marriage is beautiful. The essence of teaching this is really not for you to be scared of getting married, but for you to come to the awareness of the challenges that you will face in marriage. And knowing these challenges will help you prepare yourself to deal with this challenge. If you're a single person, you're a married person, it becomes critical for you to become knowledgeable, educated in the challenges that come with marriage. And once you know these challenges, you begin to prepare yourself, equip yourself with the necessary solutions to deal with these challenges. So many people go into marriage without preparing themselves for the challenges of marriage. And here's the thing, when you go into marriage without preparing yourself for the challenges of marriage, you can find yourself dropping out of that marriage because of those challenges. But that's not the goal for tonight. The goal for tonight is to equip you, to help you, to enable you to deal with marital challenges. Deal with them. They can be dealt with. You can successfully deal with marital challenges. You can successfully use marital challenges as a tool to better your relationship, your marriage. And so, number five, which I'll be speaking to today, or number one for today, is the parenting challenge. You see, when a couple gets married, the marriage is between the man and the woman. Two people make up a marriage. Marriage is between a man and a woman. It's between the both of you. But children are a product of that marriage. The marriage is complete even without children. But when you start having children, children are a product of that marriage. It can become a challenge for that marriage if the both of you are not able to manage this challenge. Children are a blessing. Don't forget that. Children are a blessing. But these children that are a blessing, if not well managed, can become a challenge in the marriage. Parenting is a duty of both parties. The husband and the wife must take responsibility for the parenting of the children. It should not be left to one person. One person should not be the one doing the absolute parenting. Both parties must be active in parenting. One person shouldn't carry the burden of parenting. Parenting was designed for both parties. Both parties must be involved in parenting. It's important that you know that parenting is your duty the moment you decide to become a parent. Parenting is your duty. You need to create time for it. It's not a duty that can be outsourced. You can outsource it to your spouse. You can outsource it to your grandparents, your parents. You can outsource it to your uncles. You can outsource parenting to anyone. Parents, husband and wife, the moment you decide to become parents, you have decided to take up a challenge. That's what it means. Know that the moment you decide to become parents, you have decided to take up a challenge. The challenge to raise children, the challenge to raise these children in excellence, that they will grow to be great kids, the challenge to give them the best, the challenge to protect them, the challenge to help them to be godly children, to walk in the values that you espouse. This is critical. And so parenting is a challenge, but it's not a challenge that you cannot overcome. You are a product of parenting. We all are product of parenting. And so whether the parenting was good or not so good, we must make up a decision to be good parents, to give our children better than we received. And so outsourcing parenting to our spouse is not a fair game. I'll say that again. Some of us say, oh, I'm not outsourcing it to other people, but you're outsourcing the parenting to your spouse. It's not a fair game. The both of you must be involved. The both of you must be involved in parenting. One of the biggest privileges I count myself worthy to be a father. having become a father, I see parenting as a solemn duty. It's something I don't joke with. Parenting is a solemn duty. It's a duty that God has bestowed upon us. When you choose to become a parent, take it seriously. Take it seriously. Do it with all diligence. Don't say, my spouse will do it, my spouse will do it. Do it together. So, parenting is key. Both of you must agree. Form a united front. Don't be divided in parenting. Division in parenting is detrimental to the children. You see, division in parenting is detrimental to the children. What a lot of people don't know is that when they are divided in parenting, they are confusing their children. Both parents must work together, align together, and decide on the way they want to parent their children. It can be a challenge. Parenting styles, differences in parenting styles can divide a home, can break a home. And so this can be a marriage challenge. And so I encourage you to prepare yourself for the duty of parenting when you get married. Don't go into parenting until you're ready for parenting. Don't go into parenting until you're ready for parenting. It's one thing to be a husband and a wife, it's another level to be a parent. When you decide to become a parent, prepare yourself for it. Daddy and mommy, answering the name daddy and mommy is not just by answering the name. You must be ready to take on the mantle of responsibility that comes with answering that name. And so it means that you are willing to make the sacrifices that are required. You're willing to give up certain things that are required for parenting. It's a challenge, but it's a good challenge. It's a challenge that you can surmount. It's a challenge that you can overcome. It's a challenge that you have the capacity to deal with. And so as a parent, as a spouse, it's the dynamics of being a spouse is not the same as being a parent. Sometimes some people become parents and they forget that they're a spouse. These are the challenges. You must put a balance there. You become a parent and suddenly you forget that you're a husband and you're a wife. You forget. You just forget it. And so parenting challenge should not supersede your responsibility as a spouse. Managing both, even as a single individual, becomes critical to the success of your marriage. And so some people get absorbed in parenting that they forsake their duty as a spouse. Don't do that. It's critical to know that becoming a parent does not absolve you of your duty of being a spouse. Parenting challenge is real. And so, for those of us that are parents, we are navigating this journey with wisdom, taking it day by day, getting better by the day. Now, understand, you're not going to be a perfect parent. You make mistakes, but you're learning along the way. You're getting better along the way. The idea is that I want to be a better parent. I'm going to parent my children in excellence. I'm going to give them the best. And anything that I need to do to make me a better parent, I'm ready to make that sacrifice for myself and for my children. And so that is how you navigate parenting challenges. That's how you navigate it. You navigate it by becoming intentional in parenting while not absconding your responsibility as a spouse. So, when you become a parent, it means that you have decided to give a part of yourself. Now, let me. I'm going to explain something to you now. So, when you decide to become a parent, you have decided that a part of yourself will be dedicated to your children. When you were single, you had 100% of yourself. When you got married, you were deciding to join yourself together to be one with your spouse, and so you don't own 100% of yourself. You are now working together with your spouse to build your home, your marriage. But when you decide to become a parent, you have decided that a part of me is no longer my own, it's for my children. That's the decision you are making when you decide to become a parent. A part of your time. A part of you includes a part of your time, number one. A part of you includes a part of your attention. It includes a part of your resources. It includes a part of everything that makes you you. You are now going to dedicate it to your children. Think deeply before you make that decision to become a parent. The decision to become a parent is not a decision you should make in a haste because sacrifice must be made. Number three, I'll speak to number two, that will be number six if we're following the sequence as from now. But number two for today, number two is expectation challenges. You see, this is real. When people get married, they have a lot of expectations. And one of the biggest problems in marriage is when those expectations are not met. People get married to people, they have high expectations, or the sex is going to be wow. So this person is going to love me endlessly. They will never shout at me. They will do this. This person will be so nice. This person will never lie to me. This person will never do this. You know, there's so many expectations. And so when you get into the marriage and you begin to see that those expectations are not being met, people get disappointed, they get heartbroken, they get resentful, they begin to feel all sort of negative emotions. This is not what I signed up for. I know this is not what I want. Oh no, I'm not, this is not this. This is not what the person I married. Because of expectations. Expectations. Expectations can be serious marital challenge. And so it's good to manage your expectations. Be clear about your expectations. Be clear about it. Unrealistic expectations, you must become weary of it. There are so many people who go into marriage with unrealistic expectations. You know that this is the way this person is, but you have this, you want to, don't go into marriage with the intention to change anybody. You cannot change anybody in marriage. Marriage is not a place where you change people. I'm sorry, you can't change anybody. Marriage is not a place where you change people. When you are getting married to someone, you have decided to accept them the way they are. If they change or they choose to change, that's a bonus. But your decision to marry someone is your decision to accept them the way they are. That's what it is. And so during your dating, your relationship season is the season to know who this person is. You're not going to know them 100%, but you will know them enough to make that decision as to whether you want to marry them or not. And so when you make that decision that you want to marry them, it means that you have known them enough and you accept them for who they are and you are willing to live your life and accept them and live with them as husband and wife. That's what happens when you say yes to a marriage proposal. That's what happens when you decide to get married to someone. You are agreeing. You are saying, I know you and I accept you for who you are. And so that's what it is. And so managing expectations is key. Don't go into marriage and say, oh, I want to change this person. And no. Manage the expectation. Be clear about the things that you want or don't want. Be clear about them. Also, this is what I want, this is what I don't want, this is what I expect, this is what I don't expect. You got to be clear. Oh, I can give you this, I can't give you this. I can give you this. Don't go and be clear. Know what is possible and what is not possible. You're getting married to a young man, you're getting married to a young woman, and the young man is telling you that he will do 20 hours of sex. He's not going to do any 20 hours. So. And when you enter, the guy just do 1 minute, and that's the end. And you say, pastor, this is not what I signed up for. Oh, manage your expectation. You need to manage your expectation. They say, I will build a house, I will buy you Lamborghini. You know that the person doesn't have the money for Lamborghini. And you're saying, buy you Lamborghini. Enter the marriage, no Lamborghini. No even Volkswagen. No nothing. And you're saying, manage your expectation. You need to manage your expectation in marriage. Know what you're going into. Know what you're going into, because that can become a source of challenge. You see, there's some expectations that you need to manage in the marriage, right? But then some expectations you need to manage before you get married. Did you get the reason of what I just said now? There are some expectations you will manage in the marriage. There are some you will manage even before you get married. So know the ones that you must manage before you get married, and the ones you manage in the marriage. And so don't let expectations become the source of the crisis of your marriage. Managing expectations in a marriage is very critical to the success of many marriages. And so I just want to be clear about that. And so you're getting married, you think you continue to live like a single person. You cannot be living like a single person when you're getting married. You need to give your partner attention now. You're now married. You can't be going out with the boys every time. You need to spend time with your spouse. You see now. So you need to manage expectations. Life will be there. Everything's the same. It's not the same. Oh. Things have changed. You need to adjust very quickly to the changing trends. And so these are expectation challenges. And so capacity to manage them is key to the success of that marriage. So number one, start for today in part two. Number one is parenting challenge. Managing the challenge of parenting your children is key. Number two, expectation challenge. Your capacity to manage challenge the expectations, your capacity to manage your expectations in the marriage, even before the marriage, is critical to the success of that marriage. And so capacity to be able to know, okay, these are my expectations, these ones can be met, these ones cannot be met, and then, riding on with the marriage alongside is key to the success of that marriage. Number three, and this is very critical, is technology and social media challenge. You see, this was not something that was a challenge 50 years ago, but it's a challenge now. Social media, the pressure of social media is real in marriages. So many people are making decisions in their marriage based on social media. So many people are doing things, destroying their marriage based on what they're seeing off social media. So many people are taking up unrealistic advice from social media, unrealistic pressure from social media, and trying to put it in their marriage. This is a challenge. It's a real challenge that we're faced with in today's world. Young people need to realize that social media is a challenge to their marriage. Realize it, see it as it is, and quickly try to manage what the challenges of social media. Don't let social media come between you and your spouse. Don't let the pressure of social media come between you and your spouse. See a husband and a wife, they're sitting together. And this time, you see it every time. Many of us are guilty of this. Husband and wife are sitting together, but they're pressing their phone. They're not talking to each other, they're pressing their phone. Husband and wife. Husband and wife are sitting together for 2 hours. They only spoke for 5 minutes. For the most part, they are pressing their phone. They're engrossed in their phone. They are together, but they're not together. The young man is enjoying social media. The young woman is enjoying social media. The both of them are together, and they'll be laughing. You'll be seeing it, they'll be laughing. Not laughing with each other. They are laughing at what they're watching separately. This is real. Even at the dinner table, they are eating. Husband and wife are eating at the dinner table, and they are pressing their phone. Husband and wife, they are spending more time on social media than together. This is real. This is a crisis. It has become an invader in the home. Social media has become an invader in the home. Husband and wife are spending more time on social media than together. In fact, husband and wife don't have anything to discuss with themselves again. They don't have anything to talk to themselves. The husband is a social media guy, the wife is a social media. They are not talking to themselves. They are focused on social media. They are focused on social media. And so we need to see this as a real challenge and get a hang of it. Because the truth is that some people don't think it's a problem. Before they know, they are growing apart. You're growing apart. Marriage is for companionship. But there's an invader. There's a modern invader in marriage. It's called social media. And so we must know that there's a modern invader in marriage called social media that we need to deal with. It's a big challenge. It's a big challenge. And so realizing this becomes critical so that you are able to save your marriage. It's not 10 years down the line. You guys have grown apart. You don't even know each other. You don't even know who you're with. Some people, some husband and wife are roommates. They're not husband and wife again. They're roommates. They're living together, but they don't even know each other. The husband doesn't even notice the wife. The wife does not notice the husband. There's a guy on social media that is giving her all the attention. She, after all, I'm not cheating with him. But the guy, you're always chatting, they're spending time together on social media. And the husband says, she's just there. He doesn't know. The wife doesn't know. They are both spending time on social media, interacting with virtual people. People that they have not seen, they might not see. People are spending more time with people that they cannot see than to spend time with their spouse that they can see. Social media is a real invader of homes. The sooner we realize this, the better we begin to rescue many marriages going through crisis. How you know that there's a problem is check your phone. For those of you that have iPhones or and I think different phones, see how many hours you're spending on social media. And measure it with how many hours you're spending with your spouse. You know that this is a crisis. This is a crisis. It's a real crisis. Some of you are not checking how many hours you're spending on social media compared to how many hours you're spending with your spouse. You'll be amazed. Data speaks, and the problem is that some people say, but data does not lie. That's the problem with data. Once you have the data, look at the figures, look at the numbers. Look at the numbers. And so, this challenge, you can deal with it by being intentional. And that's why you are in this meeting. So that you come to the knowledge that this can be a challenge. For those of you that want to get married, or those of you that plan to get married, or those of you that are married, you say, Pastor Mike is saying the truth. Oh, this is real. Oh. This is a real issue. This is a real issue for many marriages. It's a real issue. The issue of the social media challenge. It's real. Some of us are not talking to each other again. We're not quarreling, no, but we're not talking. I pray that the Lord will heal and restore marriages tonight. I pray that the Lord will step into marriages tonight and do what only Him can do. If you do have questions for me, write down your questions. You want clarity. The time for question and answer will come forth, and I'll be able to answer some of your questions. But these are real issues that we're dealing with tonight. We're dealing with real issues, real marriage issues. And so I really pray that the Lord will step into marriages tonight and do what only Him can do. And for those of you that are single, hoping to get married, that the Lord will equip you to deal with these challenges. The Lord will equip you to deal with these challenges. You should be spending more time with your spouse than with social media. Spend more time with your spouse than Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. I've heard countless couples say, Michael, he's spending so much time on social media. She's spending so much time on social media. He doesn't even give me attention. She doesn't give me attention. This is real. It is real. And sometimes you're not even doing anything productive, you're just scrolling. Scrolling can be addictive. You're just scrolling. You're just scrolling. One of the ways you can deal with the challenges of social media is, why not do it together? Your husband and wife, you have two separate phones. You're looking at your wife looking at something. Why not do this? You want to do social media? Then do it together. Spend the time together. talk about things together, on maybe, do things together. There are ways around these things. The Lord will give us wisdom to deal with it and navigate this in marriage. In Jesus' name, amen. I'm going to touch on the last topic, the last point, the third point. Is it the third or the fourth point? I think it's the fourth point. I'm going to touch on the fourth point and I'll stop for tonight. The trust issues. So trust issues can be a huge challenge. I don't have so much time. I really want to touch on this a lot. Maybe I'll continue next week. Many marriages are dealing with trust issues. Husband and wife don't trust themselves. There's so many people, they are married, they don't even trust themselves. Even before they are married, before they get married, they don't trust themselves. They say, I want to sign prenup. The issue of prenup is an issue of trust. Some people say, Michael, that's not true. I'm telling you the truth. Why would you want to sign a prenup with someone that you trust? It's because you don't trust them. In your heart of hearts, you don't trust them. You believe that they can disappoint at some point. That's why you need a prenup. That's why you want to sign that prenup. Trust issues. This guy can misbehave at any point in time. This lady can misbehave at any point in time. I need to secure myself. Why would you be getting married to someone you need to secure yourself from? You see what I'm saying now? Why would you be getting married to someone you want to secure yourself from? I'm speaking to those that are not married. Those that are married, you are married, you're married. But those that are not married, why do you want to marry someone you need to secure yourself from? Think about it deeply, what I'm saying. You want to get married to someone that you have to secure yourself from because you know that this person can mess up. You say, but Michael, human beings change, human beings. Oh, God. I pray that the Lord will open our eyes to see this trust issue as a challenge. It is what it is, a challenge. There are many marriages that they trust each other. There are many marriages where they trust each other, where the husband and wife trust each other enough. So trust issue is a challenge. Is a challenge. What you need to do is you need to be with that person that you can trust. Don't marry someone that you don't trust. You are setting up yourself for marital disaster. Don't marry someone that you cannot trust. Don't. If you don't trust this person, no need. Forget it. You say, but Michael, they have all of the qualities that you're looking for, but you don't trust them. So let's do prenup. Michael, time is going. I can't wait. I need to get married. I do prenup. You're marrying someone and you don't even trust them. Sometimes I hear young people, I'm counseling young people, and they're speaking about the person that they want to get married. And you're like, but why do you want to marry this person? You say this person is this person. You use all the words you're using about this person is so negative. So negative. You're complaining. You're complaining bitterly about this person. And yet you don't want to break up with the person. You want to marry the person. You're ready to say yes to the person. But you're complaining bitterly. It baffles me. It baffles me when I'm talking to young people. You're complaining so bitterly about this person. You're saying all the negative things about this person, but yet you want to marry them. It's challenging. It's something I cannot wrap my head around. Why would you want to marry someone who you have so much negative things to say about, yet you want to marry them and continue complaining? Some people just love complaining. Some people, their love language is complaining. Do you know that some people, their love language is to complain? If they have not complained, they are not in love. That's a toxic way of living. And so this is a challenge. Trust issues. You're not even sure of this person. You're not sure this person has all the issues. They have everything you don't want. Just because they say they want to marry you. And you're, Michael, I have to wait. Hey, I'll wait another 2 years. So then I have to wait 3 years before. I'm not sure. Let me take this one. and you enter the marriage. You don't manage your way into marriage. Hear me now and hear me clear, God's people. You don't manage your way into marriage. You manage in, you manage out. Write it down. You manage in, you manage out. Marriage is not a place you manage into. Marriage is not a thing you manage into. You don't manage into marriage. You manage out of it. Manage into the marriage, you manage out of the marriage. Marriage must be something that you're ready to do. Be sure that this person, I want to be with this person. This is the one for me. This is the one for me. I pray that the Lord will help many of us to make marital decisions correctly. Don't rush into this thing. Don't rush into it. Don't rush. Don't say, Michael, I'm not saying the person must be perfect. So don't get me wrong, though. No, I'm not saying the person must be perfect. But let me tell you something. At least trust the person. At least let it be someone that you can trust. Let it be someone that you trust. Some of you are marrying people that you cannot trust with your finances. You want to marry that person. You can't trust your finances with that person. You can't trust. You say, no, I don't trust this person. I don't know. But you want to marry them. It's a recipe for a problem. It's a recipe for a problem. You don't trust them. Some of you want to marry people. You don't even trust your spouse with your friend. You don't trust your spouse with your friend. You say, this is my spouse. I don't trust my spouse with my friend or with my sibling. I don't trust my spouse, but I'm going to marry the person. May God open our eyes so that we will not rush into problem. Some of us, who don't see problem, but will rush into the problem. You see problem. The problem is glaring, and you rush into it because you want to get married. May we not rush into problem in the name of marriage. In the name of Jesus. And so, when you are making this decision of getting married, make it knowing that, you see, this issue, because now when you get into marriage, this becomes an issue. It becomes a marriage challenge. And sometimes you have to deal with it. Don't marry someone you don't trust. I mean, the solution to this is just don't marry someone you don't trust. Now, you're in a marriage with someone you don't trust. That's a big problem. It's a big problem. The trust must be built back immediately for that marriage to work. For that marriage to work, the trust must be built back immediately. I pray that the Lord will open our eyes to deal with trust issues in marriage, emotional infidelity, all shades of infidelity. These are so many things. I mean, I wish I can go on and on this in touching these hot button areas. Some people are in marriages where they're dealing with this kind of challenges. I pray that the Lord will help us and heal us. In Jesus' name. Amen. I'm going to stop here for now, but I'm happy to take questions. For those that have questions, if you have questions, you can put the question on the chat room and we'll pick it up on Facebook, on Twitter Space, on Clubhouse, on YouTube, on TikTok. We're live on TikTok, we're live on Facebook, we're live on YouTube. We're also live on MixLR and Clubhouse, and also we're live on Twitter Space. That's X Space. So all our people are everywhere to pick up your questions if you do have questions. But I'll be handing over to the moderators on Clubhouse to continue with the question and answer. Thank you very much. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Pastor Michael. That was short and deep. I know if we had given you more time, you would have continued. But that hit hard as well. So really, really do appreciate what you've given us, these nuggets, especially social media. It's really topical in a lot of homes, and unfortunately, it's not just the young couples anymore, but even the older ones who are catching it late, they even get addicted even more. But thank you so much for that. And Once again, a good evening to all those who joined us late. Uh, and also, we are grateful to have Pastor Praise with us on stage as well. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're joining from. I'll go straight into the questions that we have, Pastor Michael, and I know we also have Dr. Solomon and Pastor Praise. Hopefully, they'll be able to help us with responding. The first question that has come through for this evening, it's kind of an interesting one. It says, good evening, Pastor. Thank you for your teachings. I want to ask this. Myself and my husband decided to do a joint account, and it's been okay until when he suddenly decided to take money without informing me or giving reasons for its use. I want to stop putting money into the account. Is this okay? Pastor Michael, I don't know if the question is very clear.
Very, very clear. Thank you so much, Brother Salma, for that question. The question is very clear, and I just want to acknowledge the presence of Pastor Praise. Thank you so much, Pastor Praise, for joining us this evening. It's always a delight to have you join us. Thank you so much, and I'm sure that Pastor Praise will. She's a woman of God and also a woman of wisdom, and I believe that she will give some very insightful contributions tonight as well. To answer that question, um, so you and your husband decides to open a joint account, and that's good, that's fantastic. But I think that the both of you also must agree on how to run the joint account, right? You can decide that the joint account, and this is wisdom. This is where wisdom plays in. You can decide that joint account, money cannot be taken out with one signature. Both signatures must. That's it. I've forgotten that there's a word they use for that in banking. You know, there's a particular word. I've forgotten the word is off the top of my head. So the order can be that both signatures must be penned for there to be a withdrawal. There should be no ATM to the accounts. You see, these are ways to manage these things. So withdrawals must be made with both parties' signature. That's the way you manage these things. So because it's wisdom, the Bible says wisdom is profitable to direct. So you have to navigate this with wisdom. Yeah, and so you and your spouse have agreed to open an account. You must also agree on how to manage the account. Not just, so sometimes people make this decision, we have agreed to do this. It's not enough to start. When you agree to start, agree on how you will continue. Some people just agree to start. They have no plan on the process. They just say, oh, let us start. We have agreed, let's start. But they didn't agree on the process. And so husband and wife, you must agree. But what I would advise is this. If you are going to have a joint account, husband and wife, then it would be good that that account should be for family matters, things that the both of you have jointly agreed to do. That you can have your own separate personal account where you have some money that you can do personal things with. So these are simple things. For me and my wife, we don't have a joint account, but we are financially naked. So that's the way we operate in our home. There's no joint account anywhere. Or there's financial nakedness in the sense that we agree on how much we allocate to save for the family. And so my wife can decide to whatever she wants to do with her own the rest of the money. I can decide what I want to do with the rest of my own money because we have agreed on what must be allocated for the family. So it depends on what works for you as a family. If you decide that okay, we want to have it as a joint account, then that agreement must be okay. We are allocating this fund for the family, but don't allocate all your funds. Don't bring all your money together and start spending from there. It's not wise. It's going to bring a lot of problem. The advice will be set a portion that must go to that joint account and agree that joint account The funds then must be used for things that the both of you agree on together. Now, if your husband does not agree on this, then um, what I would advise for you to do is, if your husband says, "No, I'm not angry, I'm going to keep taking the money, I'm going to take the money," you might want to seek counsel. You might want to seek counsel, and I hopefully the counsel works. If you're not, because then to just really help the both of you navigate that. That's what I would say, because it's very important. Financial issue is real in marriage, and dealing with those financial issues, you deal with them with wisdom. The Lord will give you wisdom in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Pastor Michael, for the response. Just in a minute, I don't know if Pastor Praise, you have something to add, or Dr. Solomon, before we continue. I still have a few other questions too. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Michael. Good evening, everyone. Good evening to the moderators, Brother Samuel. Great to hear your voice, by the way. It's always in our room, and I've never heard your voice before. Mr. Michael actually has dealt with this point, but because she's asking directly, it would be a bit of a difficult situation to answer her directly, because we need to know if you have yes, the word is approach your husband about what has happened and how has he responded to your obviously dissatisfaction that he's taken money out without a joint approval of it. Because the attitude to, or his response to your approaching him is actually what would tell if it was an intentional behavior and if it's something that would actually continue. If he has a negative response towards it, a nonchalant attitude, like you don't have to question me, and you think this might lead to, or he's taking advantage of his position because he's your husband, but sometimes people do take advantage of their positions, and he's taking advantage of his position instead of really explaining himself as to why it's being done. And you can see through it that it's not, he's not manipulating himself out of it, but he's really been honest with you, like, okay, sorry, I should have asked, or I should have discussed it, not asked, but should have discussed it with you before doing it, and he apologizes. It's a different matter. But if he comes across, well, I'm your husband, or he's saying, because some men say, don't question me, then that's a sign of an issue, which I wouldn't really wait until it gets to a place where you need to seek counseling. I think you need to seek for help as quickly as possible, because things like this can escalate, and then you would feel like you're in a disadvantaged position. But asking Pastor Michael directly, should I continue to put money in the account? I don't think he will be in a fair position to answer that right now until he gets a bit more information into what was his response when you approached him, and has the matter been resolved between the two of you. But if it hasn't been resolved and you think it's going to escalate, I would seek advice quickly, with the two of you, so that it can get resolved, and going forward have an agreement. Hopefully he'll be able to honor it, so that peace could be sustained. And because, by the way, I like what Pastor Michael said about sustaining something. You can agree when everybody's happy, but how do you sustain the agreement is definitely a point that we must all think about in the future. Blessings. I yield my mic.
Thank you so much, Pastor Praise. That was straight to the point, much appreciated. And yes, it's always a joy to be in your rooms. I'm glad I'm always bubbling in tongues when I'm in your rooms. Voice is hidden. So to the second question now, this is a very interesting one, Pastor Michael, for people relocating. The person asks, I have decided to relocate to the UK and would love to move with my fiancé, but seeing on social media how some Nigerian women divorce their husbands to marry another man when they get abroad scares me a lot. I want to believe she won't do that to me, but I'm restless about this and I don't want to leave her behind. Please, how do I get out of this? Over to you, Pastor Michael.
This is a very good question because I asked Sister Anne. I sent the topic for the month, and one of the topic for the month is has to do with relocation. If she's here, she can confirm that. So I really was planning to teach on this particular question that was asked, and I think it's a very real question, especially with the pressure that we have on social media. People are you hear people saying, she deceived me, she left me. I mean, there's so much going on social media, and that's why I spoke to the pressure of social media. Uh, Pressure there can come with wrong information. Husbands can see stuff on social media that are happening, like the DNA question, and they go home and it becomes a crisis in their home. Wives can see questions on social media about cheating husbands, and they go home and it becomes a crisis in their home. So there's a lot of dynamics to the challenges of social media, disinformation, wrong teachings. It's so many things that people are faced with on social media, and it's affecting marriages. Sometimes you just see you see a woman on social media, she's looking so she lost weight, she looks like you come back and you start attacking your wife on say my wife, look at that woman on social media, and you don't know, you're you're measuring your wife with a woman on social media, you're measuring your husband with a man on social media. That's a disaster, waiting to happen. It's going to destroy that marriage eventually. So that question speaks to relocating. I think that, I mean, I myself, I can speak from experience. When I relocated out of Nigeria, I just got my wife and I actually didn't spend up to a month in Nigeria after we got married. In fact, on our wedding day, we had already booked our flights, everything. I mean, we were already planning to travel. So it was after the wedding, immediately after the wedding, we traveled. I think within 3 weeks or so. And so relocating with your spouse, for me, if you want to look at examples, some of us have our spouses, we are relocated and we're living with our wife. I have no fear. I have zero fear, like 0.00, anything less than zero fear of my wife divorcing me or leaving me. I have no fear at all, right? I have none of those fears that my wife will one day, she will divorce me because she's in abroad and all that. Because the truth is that when you as a husband decide to be a good husband, your wife will have no reason to leave you. You will have no fear. So when you decide to be a godly man, a godly husband, a husband that is a good example, your spouse will have no fear to leave you, right? But when you are an oppressor, you choose to, you are an oppressor, you want to oppress, and you want to oppress. When they come here, they feel oppressed, and then they want to be freed. There's a balance to this, right? So you can't. I think that you can't be a Christian husband, a real Christian husband, and worry about relocation. Whether a Christian husband is a Christian husband everywhere. In Nigeria, you're a Christian husband. In America, you're a Christian husband. In Canada, you're a Christian husband. In the UK, you're a Christian husband. It doesn't change. The formula is the same. And so a Christian husband is a Christian husband, and no good Christian woman will want to leave a Christian husband. No good Christian woman wants to leave a Christian husband. That's the truth. If a man is a good man, he's performing his duty as a good man. He's not an oppressor. He's not a destroyer. His wife will not want to leave him. His wife not going to leave him. And so I think the most important thing is not so much about whether your wife, the young lady, is your fiance, whether she's going to leave you or not. The question is really about, who are you as an individual? Do you trust yourself? Because there are challenges to relocation, no doubt. I'm not going to lie to you. There are huge challenges to relocation. But I think you need to settle the basic thing first. The basic thing you must settle first is, who are you? Who are you as an individual? How do you see marriage? Do you see marriage from the lenses of an oppressor, or you see marriage from the lenses of partnership? How do you see marriage? It's important. And the both of you, because the young lady can pretend and say, this oppressor, just take me to the other side. Once I get to the other side, you're gone. And this is happening over every. It's happening. It keeps happening. I mean, you see. So you need to know. Answer these questions yourself. Once you have this question, I'm going to teach this. So I'm not. I don't want to. I need to teach this issue, this topic. I'll probably teach it before the end of the month, because relocating comes with challenges. There's so many challenges of relocation, and if the both of you have not built a strong bond, you might be shaken by these challenges. It will shake you to the extent that that marriage can end. So, but for us as believers, we see marriage through the lenses of Jesus, that the husband is to love his wife as he loves his own body, and the wife is to submit to her own husband. And so don't as a woman, submission is not a Nigerian thing. Submission is not an African thing. Submission is a godly thing. And so it has nothing to do where you are. It has nothing to do with it. And again, I want to tell you, I will say this and I'll stop here. I'll continue when I'm teaching this. And so the Western style of doing marriage is not the best style of doing marriage. It's a failing style of marriage. So don't say the Western style of marriage is working. That's not what I don't teach Western marriage. I'm sorry. I teach godly marriage. Western marriage does not mean successful marriage. And so don't think that it's the Western marriage. The Western marriage is failing woefully. What you need to learn is godly marriage. So don't mix it up. Godly marriage is not Nigerian marriage. It's not African marriage, and it's not Western marriage. It's godly marriage. So some of you want to switch from Nigerian marriage to Western marriage. Don't that you see that's the problem. So that you need to find that balance. Don't switch. You don't say it's not a Nigerian system. It's a Western marriage. Western marriage is a failing marriage. They are failed woefully in doing marriage. So they are not the model of successful marriage for you. For those of you that are thinking that is the West is where marriage is, we can do marriage correctly. They are not doing marriage correctly. You want to do marriage correctly? Look to the Word of God. Focus on building a godly marriage. And the truth is about godly marriage. A godly marriage is a godly marriage everywhere. Is a godly marriage in Nigeria? Is a godly marriage in America? Is a godly marriage everywhere. And so when you choose to be a godly husband and a godly wife, the both of you will enjoy your marriage everywhere. In America, in anywhere you are, that marriage will work. So the principles of the success of a godly marriage is the same everywhere. It's the same. It's the same. So know this and know peace. So don't mix it up. I'm not here to teach you that, I'm not here to teach you abandon Nigerian marriage. It's not, I don't teach you Western marriage. They don't have the formula for successful marriage. That's the truth. The formula for a successful marriage is a godly marriage. Full stop. We can argue about this, but that's what I teach. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Pastor Michael. That was deep. And I think we've all heard for ourselves, even for those who don't ask the questions, we've been helped. I've got Dr. Michael. I'm not sure if it's Dr. Michael or Mrs. I'll be coming to you shortly. Before I do that, I'm just going to give 2 minutes to Dr. Solomon if he has anything to contribute on this. But yeah, thank you for what you just said, Pastor Michael, on teaching on the godly marriage. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think Pastor Michael has said, I remember when I was to get married, I have to sit my wife down and explain to her the different kind of marriages that exist. that this is what I stand for. If that is not what you stand for, then it's better we just be friends and forget about it. That godly marriage is this. Then the only days African marriage is that. But even in the African marriage of today, this is how they have been able to mix this and mix that. Then the Europe or maybe the international the Europe marriage, American marriage, this is how it is. This is what I would do. But if you think this particular description I've given about the different types of marriage, they are just give your own point. Oh, it's a godly marriage. Okay. So when we get inside, we should do it as godly marriage, not like today. Oh, we are in Europe or we are in that. So I think when it is the major thing is that there was something I said some time ago, and I was saying it again. Let people mean what they say and say what they mean, because the truth is this. If you are going to be deceptive as a man or as a woman, the other person may be believing everything that is coming from your mouth and going to work with what you have. You have told him or you have told her. So it's very important that you agree. We don't expect it to be very bad, but having the fear that when you travel abroad with your spouse is going to leave you or going to, if it's a godly marriage, as Pastor Mikey said, it's going to be a godly marriage, why will she, leave you? Except, yes, we know, I'm not going to say that we have not seen situations where people are treated right and somehow they left. And the truth is because there could be an influence, and that maybe sometimes what happens sometimes is that some guys, I have seen ladies went to marry a guy, church going and everything sometimes, and when they get abroad, the guy leaves after maybe getting his permanent or what is it? I would call it in the UK. Where I am, we call it the permanent residence. When they get it, they leave. Why? Because there was an agenda that was not declared, and most of the time is from the family. Because like, if you stay with your wife, you won't bring enough money. So now you are the solution. So we need to cut ties. Because if you cut ties so that come to build a new family the way, build a new family so that you can reach back, you can help your family back, but it should be, the help should not be like me prioritizing my extended family more than the new family want to start, or she prioritizing her extended family. That is where all this problem comes from. But the truth is, if you really want to be together, you will run faster. You will grow faster, and there will be issue of. So if anybody is considering, okay, if we want to go, when we get there, we leave. You see, your family is your family. They cannot marry you. You can't marry your sister. You can't marry your brother. So what I would tell anybody who has that fear today is that if you really, if you really want to get married, it is your wife you're going to live with, your husband you're going to live with. That does not mean that some people have not done some things, but let's believe, pray God that God will help you, that your spouse will not be somebody who is being who is not godly, who is not influence of the word of God or the Holy Spirit, but influence of maybe family or friends. You understand? Let's believe God that it's going to be so. But the truth is, godly, a godly person is a godly person, except you were not godly before. And again, another thing again is this. If they leave you, it's not the end of the world. It's not I'm trying to encourage people to leave. It's not the end of the world. And sometimes say, oh, what I work for, the money it's not the end of the world. If they take part of your money or this, you can. It's not easy, but it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. That is why it is very important that we anchor our trust in God. We look onto God all the time, that every effort we are making, like if it is only to acquire things and build here, when anything affects those things you are building, you are gone. That's why you see some people die before their time. So focus on more of God. Even as two of you grow together and you build together, let your trust, let your hope, let your joy, let what gives you strength be on God and not on the things you are acquiring here. Because most of the time it's all about money, or maybe, and because Pastor Mike has already treated the issue of when you might treat somebody at maybe in Africa, that's in Nigeria or wherever, and when you come here, they say, oh, it's an opportunity for me to deal with you back. Those things happen, but the most important thing is that let's be godly spouse. If you have not got married, you get to get married, believe God for a godly spouse. Be a godly spouse. Even when your spouse is misbehaving, remain a godly spouse. Ask the Holy Spirit will give you grace. And maybe a time will come and your spouse will agree with you. So don't have any fear. Don't have any fear in taking your spouse to wherever you want to relocate to. God bless you. I use my mic.
Thank you so much, Dr. Solomon. godly marriage, no fear. And I know there's a follow-up questions coming up or another question coming up, but right now I just want to leave time to Dr. Michael. Welcome on stage, and thank you once again. Your contributions, your questions are always exciting. So I'm just going to leave time to you to ask your question. Thank you.
Good evening, Pastor Michael. Hello. Good evening, Pastor Michael. Can you hear me?
Good evening, madam.
Yes,
It's great to have
this
you
is
here.
Dr. Michael's wife.
Yes, good evening, madam.
Yes, I want to ask a question. And my question goes thus. Do you think it's a good idea because you're married, you cut away relationships, like your male friends, you stop talking to them, and for the man, you cut away from your female friends? When I was growing up, my dad used to tell me something. He used to say, you value relationship, you don't just throw people away. What can you say about that? Because I have a male friend that opens up to me. It's just on a platonic level. But each time he calls, I see it on my husband's face that it's not really okay with it. Do I just see my, in fact, sometimes I put it on speaker that this is it. He was telling me he was going through a lot. He wants to commit suicide, and I have to talk to him. And even before I married, that is how he has always been talking to me. But because I'm married now, I've been trying to isolate myself from him. But it feels I'm trying to avoid him, and I feel bad. So how do I explain that to my husband? What can you say? Is it advisable you just cut away from people you grew up together, you went to school together, the opposite gender? Thank you.
That question is the question of wisdom. And I really pray that as we answer that question tonight, that it will not just be an answer to you, but an answer for many people. I think this is a conversation. This is not a conversation. It's a teaching. I must teach this at some point. There's so many topics. Questions always bring about topics that we need to teach. So I don't think that you should cut off your friends because you're married. Let me start with that. Very, very important that you don't cut off your friends because you're married. Marriage does not mean that you shouldn't have friends. The fact that you're married doesn't mean that you should not have friends. But what I always teach is that your spouse should be your best friend. That's the principle, the main thing I teach. That your spouse should be the one you spend the most time with. You spend more time talking to your spouse, relating and connecting with your spouse. But the truth is that, and this is very, very important that we take note of this, your spouse cannot be everything to you. Your spouse cannot be everything to you. You need to know this, that your spouse cannot give you all the friendship you need. All the relationship you need in life, one person can give it to you. It's too much burden for your spouse to give you all the relationship you need in life. You need friends. We all need friends. We all need friends. Your spouse is your spouse. And so don't expect them to be everything. You want your spouse to be your father, your mother, your brother, your sister, your best friend, your closest friend, your office friend, your solution, everything. Your spouse cannot be all of that. It is important to have a balance of this. Your spouse is number one. Your spouse comes first. But you must have important relationships. You must have good friendships. And the truth is that these friendships should not only be, and I understand there must be a balance now, and you have to be careful now. You can have male friends as a woman and have female friends as a man, but it must be with caution and boundaries. Right? It must be with caution and boundaries. It's very important. Sorry, it's very important. So you don't just say you're a married woman, a woman that is a married woman, and you have one young man that is calling you every day. What are you guys talking about? I don't understand. Every day you are talking. It's just like one young man, we call him my wife. Now, this is my wife that I married, my wonderful wife, my chara wife I'm married now. One young woman, they'll be calling my wife every day. I'm like, what's it? Maybe call it, you can call her and they can talk once a week or twice a week. When calling her every day, they are talking for 2 hours. I'm like, what's going on here? It does, it's a call for concern. I need to know what's going on. What are you guys talking about? Do you understand? If a young man is calling my wife now, talking to my wife every day for 2 hours, I need to be concerned. Are you business partners? Are you guys building the product? What are you guys doing? You're just friends. What are you friending? What are you friending? What are you friending? Let's not deceive ourselves. You're a young man. You're calling a married woman. She's married and you're talking to her for 2, 3 hours every day. You need to be cautious now. You need to be cautious. When the both of you are not doing business together, if both of you are not working on projects, maybe if the both of you are studying together, I know that after 2 years, that study will be off. But you're not studying together. You're not doing anything together. No business. You're not business partner. You're not anything. You're just calling my wife. My wife and your man, you're calling her for 2 hours every day. You're in trouble. You're looking for my trouble. You're looking for trouble. That's what you're looking for. And so you see what I'm talking about. It's the same, it goes the same thing for a man. It's just like me now. I'll be calling a young lady, married or single. I'll be talking to her for 2 hours every day. Or we're just talking, we just gist and laugh. Ha ha ha. I mean, I'm setting myself up for a problem. You see what I'm talking about? I'm setting myself up for a problem. So, you need to be careful now. But if you guys are doing stuff together, and, maybe you're working on a project together, you're doing something, and that's understandable. Maybe you guys are working on a project together, and that's understandable. You guys need to spend time work on the project, and so we can see the result of the project, and that's fine. You're on a team, and okay, that's okay. But you are doing friendship. I don't understand. What kind of friendship is this that you're talking to yourself every day? As a single, as a married woman and a married man, I don't know. I'm confused. That woman, that 3 hours she's giving to you is not your own. You are stealing it. That time she's for the spouse. You're stealing that 3 hours. They're talking to you every day. It's supposed to be for their spouse. It's just for their spouse, not for you. You see what I'm saying? So we need to put the balance. I'm saying when you have friends that you talk to, I think it's okay. I mean, you catch up with your friends, male and female. You catch up with them and all of that. And I always encourage something. It's very, very important. When you become a married person, always make sure that you're making relationship, you're building relationship with, with people that they don't necessarily have to be close to your spouse, but people that that your spouse are aware of. Don't have any secret friend. As a married person, you must not have any secret friend. Write it down. No secret friend. You have a friend that your spouse does not know about. It's wrong. Quote me anywhere. You have a secret friend that your spouse does not know about. It's wrong. No secret friend. Your spouse must know. Must know their name. They don't have to have their number. Must know that you have that friend. Nothing like secret friend. You don't know him. You don't know what? Yeah, Michael, you don't know him. Baby, you don't know him. You don't know him. You're nothing like secret friendship in marriage. Everybody that is your friend in marriage, your spouse must know them. Especially the ones that you're close to. They must know. You must tell them. Your spouse should know their names, know everything, and all of that. Because secret friendship is doing, that means you are, I don't want to talk, but just, there's so many laughable things, that are happening in our world today in the name of, that's why I said, let's don't copy Western style. We're not here to copy Western style. I don't teach Western style. I teach godly style. And the godly style is the best style. So it's okay to have male friends as a woman that is married. And it's okay to have female friends as a man. There must be a balance to it. There must be a balance. And sometimes, and I'll say this, sometimes you think that my wife is only female friends she has. Sometimes female friends are doing things. Yeah, well, you guys understand what I'm saying. Female friends are even doing this. They are doing crazy things together. No, don't dig it. Don't dig it. Don't dig that hole. She's only talking to girl ladies. The ladies themselves are doing this. So be careful. So it's not about all those things. You have to be wise. You have to be, use the wisdom of God to navigate your relationship and your marriage. I don't know if I answered your question, madam. And how's Doctor, my friend? I hope Doctor is listening to me. Doctor, your wife should not be talking to anybody for 2 hours, 3 hours every day. It's not allowed.
3 times in a session.
Oh my God, over to you, Samuel. Thank you.
Can I say something when it's possible?
Yes, you are about to say. I'm sorry, I missed what you said, so you can pick it up from there as well as to add on this as well. Thanks, Pastor Grace, over to you.
Blessings, sir. I wanted to go back to that previous question that Pastor Michael had asked. That's why I was blinking my mic then. But it actually does then connects with, I don't know, I think it connects with the other question that was asked. I was hoping that we'd hear also a response from a woman's perspective. And I know I definitely understand, Pastor Michael, what you're saying about godly relationships. But I think the thing that, not in defense of women per se, and it's interesting that I've heard these categories here about African marriages and European marriages and whatever else. The thing that women yearn for most times is affection. And then most times you have men from, even Christian men who might not particularly know how to express affection to their wives. And so you find men who then become insecure when their women are now exposed to environments or exposed to a culture where affection is expressed, yeah, and so that's where men become very concerned, while women are now exposed to environments or, like I said, cultures where there's an expression, and they are sometimes quite rigid, because I hear people say men don't change, and I'm using that word very carefully, that statement very carefully. I'm not a man, but I understand when people say men don't change, and I'm not talking about it from a godly perspective, but from certain, I don't even know what they mean, but it's like, well, this is who I am. I'm not used to affection, so you have to just take me as I am, which I don't know. I mean, the things that we all adjust to. So if something is very important to someone, and they do care about that person, and you didn't even have it as, let's just say, your principle is that, well, nobody expressed it to me, but you want your marriage to thrive, and it's important to the next person. And this, we're not asking you to be the perfect person that will do it, but at least the effort to try would be very much appreciated. So that's where I hear most times where men become a little bit insecure, because they have been rigid in trying to learn how to express affection. And then they go into Western cultures where they see men holding hands of their wives and, kissing them in public. And sometimes women look like, I wish my husband could do that. And he's like, I won't do that in the bedroom, and then it becomes a problem. So it's not about really contending with the godly relationship. It's just things that women end up being exposed to. And obviously it takes maturity to be able to handle or relate to somebody who might not have that. And then it's not willing to try. I hope I'm making sense here. I think that's really what people get scared of.